Welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast, where real students are doing real deals in the world of multifamily real estate. I'm Vince Gethings, the owner of the Wheelwell Profits Academy. Listen in as we dive into the journeys of driven individuals who are turning their dreams into reality. These people are just like you, taking action and making things happen. If you enjoy the show, please like, subscribe, and if you're ready to take action, check us out at wheelwellprofits.com to learn more about our incredible community. Let's get started.
This is Movers and Shakers, where we interview the upcoming generation of Make It Happen multifamily investors to share their story.
Welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast. My name is Gino Barbaro, co-founder of Jake and Gino, multifamily investor, educator, father, mentor, and I'm joined by my co-host, Joshua Ryan Rusin, the community director of Jake and Gino. Josh, how are you doing today?
Gino, making it happen, my man. Excited that 2021 is around the corner here very quick. Reflecting on a big year, really good and productive, and then also looking forward to an even more big year in 2021. How about you?
I'm the same as you, Josh. I am glad that 2020 is coming to an end. We had an amazing 2020, right? But it's always nice to turn the page and to think about what we're doing in the future. And I want everyone to think about, we had a gentleman named Luke Wren on one of our weekly classes. And one of the tips that he left us was, what is your 5 to thrive? Think of what your 5 to thrive is, 5 words that really define you. And for me, the first one was relentless. I think the next one for me was committed, right? Concerned, charitable, and caring. Those are my 5 to thrive. So I identify with those 5. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is our guest on today. I'm sure she's got a couple in her mind that comes right away. And I thought about relentless and that committed. That's what she's all about. And I'm glad to have her on because she's got an amazing story and I want her to share it. So Josh, let's get this thing started.
Yeah, so our guest today is Nicole Pendergrass. Nicole began ravenously consuming real estate investment education in 2010. She formed a private investment group focused on wholesaling in 2012, and in 2013 was a founding member and acquisitions chair for a group purchasing single-family rentals in Detroit, Michigan. In 2015, she purchased her first residential multifamily property and quickly realized that larger buildings would mitigate the risk of non-paying residents, among other benefits. This led her to joining the Jake and Gino Wheelwell Profits Academy and Make It Happen Mastermind Group to increase her network, resources, synergize her efforts with the education and guidance of those established in this space. Without further ado, welcome to the show, Nicole.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm so grateful and honored.
All right, so Nicole, talk to me about this. What do you do for your day job, and how did real estate kind of get into the picture?
Okay, my day job, I work in a hospital, kind of running administrative outpatient clinics. And I started with real estate, honestly, in 2010, and it was right after my father died. A couple of months later, I ended up going to my first 3-day boot camp kind of situation. And from there, I just was hooked. And I knew that from the situation with my dad passing, he didn't leave much money for my mom. There wasn't no inheritance or any of that because we didn't come from money. And so I knew I wanted to do what I could to help my mom in her retirement and build up for her future. And because I didn't have kids or anything at that point, that was my focus, because I seen my mom work 2 to 3 jobs growing up just to make ends meet because my dad was sick and he couldn't work. So that's kind of where the fire for the possibilities of real estate came from. And at the point in my job, I had already been looking for something else. And I really wasn't sure what that was. And then real estate came and I just was like, oh yeah, this is my ticket.
So what do you like about the ticket? I mean, what allures you? What attracts you to real estate?
Just the possibilities that you can grow wealth, so not quickly because it is a long-term game, but more effectively and quicker than a lot of other options that are presented to you, as far as mainstream financial resources and options. And I just like that you have that control and that somebody like a regular person can actually become a millionaire through real estate, and that you could live the way you want to live because your properties are, getting paid for by the residents. And however, there's so many benefits, but every strategy, even if it's one of the wholesaling or flipping or one of the non-passive, more active strategies, the possibilities still are endless if you just put in the work. And that's what I liked about it.
I love that. So what were your limiting beliefs getting into real estate? Because for me, Nicole, when I first got in, I didn't have the time. So for me, I don't have time to do this. And number two, I didn't have a lot of capital to do it. What limiting beliefs did you have when you started?
It's probably the same. I had time though at that point because I started, I was young, not doing anything with my time really, except for, hanging out with friends and this and that. But it really was the credit, the capital, and the belief that someone like me could get into real estate. Like I didn't know regular people did this. So it really was that the resources, oh, I don't know how to do it. And those were some of the first limiting. But then once I started with the education, I kind of got that knowledge under my belt. But I think where it transitions, and I don't want to get too far ahead, but having that mentor and that guidance, and that was something I was always searching for early on in my career. And I think having that early would have catapulted me further than I am now, because there was a little slowdown when you're trying to do everything yourself, trying to learn everything yourself. You're unsure of certain things. You don't have that confidence. So then my limiting beliefs really were like the capital and the confidence, I think so.
So when you started out with wholesaling. How did you, like, your persons on this listening, they have nowhere to start. Where would you tell them to start? What is the first thing that somebody should do after they hear you say, I want to get into real estate? What should I do?
First thing is actually the education before anything else, because a lot of people lose their shirts in real estate. So it's not easy, and it's not easy, but it's simple,
Mhm.
like the steps, but you still have to have some kind of knowledge base. And so I think being educated, and being around, surrounding yourself with a group of like-minded people, like finding that group of people who you can talk to, because a lot of people who are starting from nothing are also coming from families who don't do real estate, and they don't have, an uncle or a parent or someone who's been doing it. So you have to find that network that you can engage with on a constant basis and educate yourself, and then start small. Start with the savings and the credit. There are ways around that, but that also takes the network. So that's the education, the group of like-minded people, and then the network, and getting out there and putting your face out there to connect with people. And if they see your passion and your drive, people will want to work with you and want to help you.
Yeah, Nicole, you bring up a good point there, right? Let's say I'm getting into real estate and none of my family's in it, right? And in fact, when I tell them that I'm getting into it, some of them discourage me, right? That's risky. What are you doing? And, what advice would you give for someone in that situation? And how did you deal with it with your family, kind of being the one to, push through and kind of show them the way and lead by example?
Well, actually, I'm very fortunate and blessed that my mom from the very beginning pushed me towards it. She was very supportive. And my husband, like I said, he was my boyfriend at the time. He's the one that took me to that 3-day seminar. So the couple of people who were super close to me, and those were the only two at that time that actually mattered, they were supportive. So, I didn't have, a bunch of naysayers or other family member telling me not to do it. For the people who do have that, they're not telling you that out of spite or because they want to see you fail. They're saying that because from their limited beliefs, they're trying to protect you in the way they best think, how to do that. Or maybe even if they've heard the one-off story or some tenant trashed something, or, I know a friend who lost so much money. Everybody knows a friend of a friend who had some bad experience with real estate. Who knows their situation? Maybe they weren't educated enough. Maybe they didn't take some certain steps. You don't know all the background information as to why their situation didn't end up right. Or they had trouble with real estate, or maybe they just didn't have the grit to push through, because everyone has troubles with no real estate deal goes perfect. Everyone has an issue with real estate. So it just depends on how you handle that and how you move forward. So I think people who are having those naysayers around, that goes back to the network and the community, and just surrounding yourself with the people who are like-minded and who have done it and who understand it, and talk to them about your situation. Don't talk to the family first, because if they're going to be the ones that are putting you down. I just had a call with a friend the other day who wants to get into real estate, and she said, her family's she doesn't even want to talk to anybody else anymore, because all she keeps hearing is negative feedback. And she said it's so good to talk to somebody who understands and who looks like her and wants to and is doing things. And that was like a confidence builder for her. So I said, you can reach out anytime, because I know, what that's like to not have that circle around you.
So what have you done, Nicole? I mean, you joined Jake and Gino. Do you think that's one of the steps you took and the mastermind group to getting around other like-minded people? Because I'll give you a quick example for myself.
Yeah.
When I first started out, it was me, myself, and I. And then I met Jake, right? And I met Jake and I got lucky. And I tell the story. I didn't tell anybody at the restaurant that I was really doing this because I thought I was the pizza guy. No one wants to talk about real estate with the pizza guy. And at 200 units, I knock on the door to my mother and I say, Mom, I've got 200 units. I'm leaving in 6 months. Because I didn't even tell my mother about it, because that's how disheartening it can be. Because like, you're trying to go for your dream. You know what your why is. You don't want to constantly hear you've got 6 kids to feed. You know, any business, any endeavor you do is going to be difficult. Real estate's going to be difficult. Working a 9 to 5 is going to be difficult. Raising a family is going to be difficult. Anything that it's worth doing in life is going to be challenging. But you need to have a strong enough why. And getting back to your why of you having legacy wealth and you having financial control, I challenge everybody listening to this, go dig down deep into your why. You don't lack motivation. You lack the clarity of doing it. And I think, once Nicole got that clarity, bam, off to the races, join the community and get clear on what your steps are. So that to me is all amazing advice. What would you say to other people? Like, what else should they be doing? You're getting the education. I see that you're really active on Instagram, Facebook. You're doing all these videos. You really love the journey. Let's talk about the journey. How has the journey actually affected the rest of your life? Because when you're doing something you love, it shows, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I have to be honest. I just started posting on social media excessively this past summer after I joined the mastermind group, and Marco and Hadar made me. and then one of the mastermind members tagged me on some random LinkedIn post about a 10-day commercial real estate challenge. And that you're supposed to post every day for 10 days and get a certain amount of likes and to get a certain amount of comments. And I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Like, I don't have enough content for 10 days, like 10 days in a row, it takes so long to write each post. But I think if it wasn't for Marco and Hadar forcing me to say, all right, you have to start telling people, you have to start pushing on social media. And if it wasn't for, I'll say is Yosef the Brosef, tagging me. He didn't even read the post. He just tagged a bunch of people. He didn't even know what he was tagging us into. And I complained to him later. He was like, oh, you're supposed to do that? And I was like, oh my goodness, I can't. But if it wasn't for him tagging me, then I wouldn't have, I don't think, jump started so heavily into it. So that was definitely a big catalyst. And before that, for years, I've been studying. 2010, I said, was when I started studying real estate. My close friends and circle and stuff, like, they knew I was doing it, but I wasn't putting it out there on social media on a regular basis, even though I know, like, one of the things you're supposed to do, you're supposed to tell everybody what you do, right? But I guess at certain points, I didn't feel like a real estate investor. So especially before I did, like, my first building or deal or whatever, it's kind of like, how can I tell people I'm investing in real estate when I'm not, So it was like, that's another limiting belief, because I was still on that journey working towards it. And I also didn't want, to feel like, even after I had done some deals, I didn't want to feel like I was bragging, or the certain circles, because everyone in all different aspects of your life follow you on social media, and certain aspects of my life, I didn't want them to think that, like, I'm this big shot, or I'm doing all this stuff, or I have, like, rolling in the dough, that kind of thing, which I'm still not rolling in the dough, but I'm on my way to working towards that.
That's right. So it's important, everybody. There are a lot of nuggets that Nicole just shared with us right there. First of all, until you start identifying with what you want to do, it might hold you back from a mindset. If you believe you can do it, then you can do it. Number 2, I want Josh, you especially, to write this down. What people say is about them. What you hear is about you. That's really, really important. Nicole should really care less what people think about her. If she's posting something on Instagram or Facebook, she's sharing her story and her experience, trying to motivate and inspire other people. Some people may take that as that's great, and some people may say, why is she bragging? It's all how they receive it. It doesn't matter how you put it out there. So I want everyone out there. And I felt the same way when I started my journey. Who wants to hear me? I've only got 20 units, but there's a lot of people that are starting, right? So you're out there trying to help others, and you're trying to build your own brand, because the Nicole Pendergrass brand is in and of itself. So that's how you start raising capital and start becoming comfortable with speaking to people, right? And then the more people you tell, all of a sudden you get more exposure, you get more deal flow, you get more opportunities. And that's the amazing thing. So you mentioned a couple of people, Hadar, my brother Mark, Yosef. These are all like Jake and Gino members. That's all part of the community. It's all starting to click, right? I mean, you join the community, and you know when you joined it, what was the experience when you joined it? Before you were not there, what was that experience once you joined it? What did you solve? What problems did you solve after you joined the community?
Well, the problem I saw joining, and then one of the main reasons I joined, the education is great, but I didn't join more so for the education. I joined more so for the community. And I wanted the resources. I wanted people to be able to reach out to and connect with and find out, like, maybe I could partner with somebody who is good with raising capital and I can find the deal, or some of my other still limiting beliefs. But at least I figured if I was in this community with all these people who are doing it and have way more units than I do, you know, and like been doing it for years, then I'm going to be in a good spot, you know, and I'll just go through, I can network. So I joined in late fall, early winter, early fall of 2019. Yeah, 2019. So the beginning of 2020, like after I did a little bit of researching, talked to my coach, discovered a market that I was going to focus on. And then I started like the beginning of 2020 off in a roll. Like I went to the Jake and Gino Managed Right boot camp in January. I was going out to my market a couple of times because I actually was still on maternity leave. So I had some free time to like drive out to my market and go to some meetups and go some property tours, meet some realtors, things of that nature, just to get my face in the market and to show people I was there. And I knew I need to do as much of that as I could before my maternity leave ended. So I was trying to use that time wisely. And then Corona hit. But, you know, just kept it going, kept networking virtually and trying to be involved. But I did still feel that like momentum dying down. And so I knew I needed something more. I still was working on my own. I had found somebody in Jake and Gino who was also in the same market at that time. So we did start working together on some stuff, not like as a true partnership, but just maybe a JV on certain things, depending on what we found. And then they decided to switch markets. And so then I still was kind of like working by myself on a daily basis. And that's when I found out about the mastermind, the MIH mastermind. And I said, you know what, I need to amp this back up. Like Corona kind of slowed me down, but I need to rev the engine. So that's when I joined that so that I could have even more hands-on, like, you know, constant accountability and things of that nature. So yeah, that was the progression of that.
You know, Nicole, on your most recent deal that you did, you found your partner through the community. Tell us a little bit about that, and let's kind of start talking about that deal as well.
Yeah. So I actually, in the summer, after joining the mastermind group, I started like networking heavy. I was having calls all the time. And I just, every person either in the mastermind or from Jake and Gino that I talked to would refer me to another person to talk to, refer me to another person to talk to. So down the line, I ended up speaking with Dwight, and he referred me, because of my market, referred me to one of his friends who he had done a deal with before, and he knew was in that general area. So I talked with him a few times. We clicked, we had a few conversations, and we were kind of on the same wavelength, on the same page about what we were looking to do and where we were in our investing career. And then a deal just came up. He had brought me one deal that I was kind of nervous about. I didn't really want to do that one. It was a student housing deal, which would have been good, but there would have been a lot of holding periods. So I wasn't in on that one. But then he sent me another one, like there was a listing. It was a listed deal. It came out on maybe a Thursday. I saw the email and I was like, oh, that looks like a good one to analyze. And I procrastinated and I did not do it right away. Don't procrastinate, people. So real estate is all about speed of action. So then the next day, Friday, he called me and he said, oh, my agent, my property manager told me about this deal. She would not send me a deal that she doesn't think is good or she thinks is going to be a headache, because she doesn't want to manage a headache. So this is a good deal. We need to, what do you think about it? I said, oh, I saw that. Let's go ahead and move forward. We ended up putting in a full price offer right away, because we thought if we have to analyze, once we analyze it and it looks like it's not a good deal at all, we could always just pull out of the contract, which I know you don't want to do, but if the numbers didn't make sense, we always could. Found out there were a few other offers in that weekend. And by Sunday night, he was calling me, telling me that our offer was accepted. So, I mean, and it just happened so fast. But the thing was, if I had not been out there networking and talking to everyone and telling about my market and connecting, then I would have never met my partner. And then I would have seen that deal and let it slide by and not been brought into the loop. So when people meet you and they get to know you and they like you and you guys are vibing, then they'll want to bring you in on deals.
I love that, Josh. There's two things Nicole said that's really important. We need to really repeat for the listeners. The first one, do what you say and say what you do. The speed of action is all about it. If you get a deal, analyze the deal and get it back to the broker as quickly as possible. If it's a no, great. Just say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Broker, it doesn't work for me. The cap rate's too low or cash on cash is not there. But just get back and try to build a rapport with the broker. And the second thing, you have to be out there and networking. It's a relationship-based business. Every business is based on relationships. So you never know where you may get a deal, whether it's from a broker, whether it's from a property manager, a title company, your CPA, a banker, a meetup group. You just never know where these deals are coming from. That's why social media is so great. When you get out there and you start putting your message out there, people who want to follow you, they're going to resonate with you. They're going to hear the story and go, oh, wow, she's in the market. I mean, great story. We had a student who joined a little over a year and a half ago. I had a call with him, guys. I told him, tell everybody. So the next day he goes to his chiropractor's office. He tells his chiropractor he's doing real estate. A month later, he finds a deal. He and his chiropractor get on the deal. And he becomes a partner. So you just never know who you share the story with. And now, Nicole, now that you did the deal, and what is your family saying? Are they warming up to it a little bit right now, or are they still like, this is just crazy still?
Oh no, that's great. My brother is telling me how he wants to, he got some money saved up. He want to put in a deal. And then my mom is like, calling me when I was on the way to the closing, asking me 50 million questions, just not in a negative way, but she was just interested. And she was like, oh, you guys are doing so great. You have such a business mindset. I never was into it. She kind of also was kind of like, oh, I feel a little bad that I haven't been investing money and blah, blah. And said, Mom, don't worry about it. I'm taking care of you. I got this. You were working to feed 5 kids. That's a different, every generation provides a basis for the next generation to grow and get better. And that's what, she did for me and for my siblings.
Explain that car ride, because I think it's important for people to hear that, because there's something in life when you go back and you look back at those moments in time when I told my mom, hey, Mom, I'm leaving the restaurant, and you're in the car with your mom, and that must have been just an amazing feeling. Just like, wow, I finally, like, it's so great to share this with my family.
Yeah. It really was. And, just thinking about it now, in the moment, I kind of was like, I got to listen to the GPS or I'm going to miss a turn, but thinking back at it, it really did feel good because she knows I've been in real estate all this time. And, she knows I have my 3 family and then, I'm doing stuff. I'm always talking about like I'm doing real estate here and there, but to tell her that I actually closed on it, or I was going to close on a 6-unit apartment building, that just made her get excited. And she's just like, I got, telling her friends, and her friends are saying, oh, she's an agent. And like, no, you way above that, honey. You like, no offense to any agents out there. But, so my mom was just like, amping, it's giving her some pride too. And I feel good that she was still here to be able to see me at least accomplish this first milestone.
Mm-hmm. So I want you to share your other goals with the listeners, because I'm sure you want to be a role model for your community, you want to be a role model for your family, and even for your friends and all that. Can you share your ultimate goals with real estate?
Ultimately, I really want to bring other people in who traditionally have not had the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something I'm getting more clarity on over the past year or two, when I have my why, of course, is my kids, and making sure, I have generational wealth and I'm building up for my family in the future. But the second why has been creeping in, and it's really that I just feel like I'm a regular person. I didn't come from money. A lot of people who get started in real estate say that, and they haven't. I grew up, not poor, but working class, with one income for 5 kids. So, it was a struggle sometimes. But I really want people who traditionally have not had the opportunity or access to the opportunity. A lot of deals, if you're doing a syndication, a 403C, B, B. If you're doing a B, then you have to know somebody who's in that deal and doing it. And a lot of people don't know somebody who's doing the deal. So they can't, and anything deal that they see advertised is for accredited only investors. So I think one of my major sticking points and my whys really that I want to work on is just building up the community of people who have not had opportunity or whose faces you don't really see in real estate all the time. And that goes to like women, that goes to African Americans or other people of color, other people who are like socioeconomically like on the lower class and need some help getting built up. So I don't think that it should just be for people who are wealthy, but I think it also starts with the mindset. So a lot of people have to work on their mindset. Some people in those situations have the right mindset, but just don't have the opportunities. So that's when it's like, okay, you have the right mindset, come on over. Because, so other people, you need to read a couple of personal development books to get your mindset right first. Then you can come on over. But I really just want to help, and maybe my goal is too wide, but that's my main focus and drive is I really want to build for my family and build for others for my community and the underdogs really who haven't had the opportunity.
So before I get into expanding on your why, you talk about mindset. What kind of mindset do you need to have to become successful? Whether it's in real estate, whether it's in any business, whether it's in life, raising a family, what mindset do you see people don't have versus one that you've adopted?
That's hard because there's so many different aspects of mindset that someone can work on. But I think one of mine is the grind, not even a grind. It's just like consistent and persistent action. Just a belief and a faith that you can accomplish, not making excuses and taking responsibility for your actions, not being so stuck in the box and following the herd and what everyone else prescribes that you should do, whether it's in life, with your family, and with finances or whatever. Look at the people who are kind of where you want to be in life and look at what they've done to get there. Read up on them, figure out, get into those circles where you can figure out that insider information, because otherwise, if you follow the herd of sheep, you're going to fall off the cliff with them. You don't want to do that. Like, I mean, there's so many controversial things out there that some people feel really strongly about one way or another. But you just have to make up your own mind, maybe take a chance. You can't be scared of a little bit of risk, but make it a calculated risk, because you're never going to expand and grow if you stay inside your comfort box. You have to get uncomfortable.
Yeah, I want to add that one thing that you said that I think every entrepreneur, every successful person in life has is responsibility. Ultimately, if you're responsible for your life and for your actions, you can start creating solutions. But if you're out there blaming everybody else, whether it's the economy or, born to five, having 5 children, I'm having 6 kids and I don't have enough time to work. And you can make those, and I'm not saying they're not justified, but there's no solutions being created. But if you can finally say, listen, I chose to have 6 kids. I chose to have my wife stay home. I chose to work in the restaurant. That's not where I want to be now. I'm responsible for my past. I can be responsible for my future. I think all of a sudden the possibility is endless. And your why is really awesome. I was doing a podcast today and my why really clicked. They asked me and I really dove deep, and my why ultimately was to have control over my financial destiny. I was at the restaurant 5 years ago. COVID would have destroyed me, right? Looking back at it, I'd have no business right now. So I think that was everyone says their family and all, and that's great, but you really need something to really light a passion underneath you and to have a strong enough why. And your why is really strong because you're empowering other people, right? You're bringing other people that didn't have this opportunity. Whereas 5 years ago, you might've been thinking, I just need investors, right? I need to get money from people. But now the why is so big that you're saying to yourself, wow, I can offer an opportunity that people would never have had to invest in real estate. And that's a really big why. Is that going to happen tomorrow? Maybe not, but that's on the radar. That's going to keep you going. So every time you get a broker calling you up and saying no, or you get a tenant, destroying an apartment, or a deal doesn't work, it's not going to stop you. It's going to hurt, but you're going to say, my why is really way too big to stop at something so small. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. It makes a lot of sense.
Wow. So, I want to take a quick time out to hear from our sponsors, but on the flip side, I want Josh to go into some personal development questions as well.
Are you looking for ways to improve your life?
Here at Jake and Gino, our mission is to empower students through financial education and the vehicle of multifamily investing.
Yes, Jake. We agree that a person with financial intelligence can change the world for the better.
We've created our proprietary 3-step framework, buy right, manage right, and finance right, that we teach to our community. This framework, along with education, our one-on-one mentorship, on-site boot camps, and the amazing community has propelled our students to massive success.
We've all been there. We've had so many students that have been able to shift their mindset, overcome limiting beliefs, and set a clear path to achieve their goals. Whether you're currently fixing and flipping, wholesaling, or buying single-family rentals, and you know that multifamily investing is the right vehicle for you, I encourage you to visit jakeandgino.com/apply to schedule your complimentary consultation with our team. And I want to let you know this isn't a high-pressure sales call. It's really just a discovery call to get to know each other better and see if we're a good fit for working together. And if for any reason we're not a good fit, our team has tons of resources we will share with you to help you along your journey.
If you're ready to stop spinning your wheels, go to jakeandgino.com/apply and schedule your call now.
All right, Nicole, I have some short answer questions here for you. What is your favorite book you've ever read and why?
Oh my goodness. I don't know if I can say favorite. I've read so many over the years and some have really got me. What's it? I think maybe The Millionaire Mindset by T.R. Harv Eker. That was a really good one. And I'm also currently reading The 4-Hour Work Week. That's really good. I know I was supposed to say one, and then I'm going to pick two more. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, only because that's everybody, but that definitely is a really good one. It's so inspirational. And actually the Honeybee was super inspirational. And I just felt like, they didn't pay me to say this, guys, but I felt like, oh, that's a good book. They have another book out. I'll read that. It's on the shelf. But then when I actually picked it up and read it, I was like, oh, wow. I didn't expect it to be as impactful as it actually was because I had read so many other books before, but good job. Good job. That was a great book.
Thank you. Checks in the mail, by the way. So,
all right. What about best habit for success?
Persistence.
I like that. Yeah.
A little grit.
I like that one. All right, so Nicole, there's been some really good nuggets in this one, and I want to go over some of them, and I know Gino's always going to be able to add to it. So my biggest takeaways are the importance of having the right circle. Really, your network is your net worth, right? As you saw, having people around you to push you further, that are further ahead of the journey, and even finding partners. Also having the right mindset, right? Having that you want assets to work for you and legacy wealth, and taking consistent and persistent action is what's going to slowly and eventually get you there. And having a very strong why. So that's kind of the recipe for success I took from this. Gino, what else you got for us with this one?
So Josh, what was really cool about the story, right? I mean, we all have our own separate journeys. And like Nicole said, we all have our own different realities, right? Where we start. But I think for her, the whole real estate journey started when her dad passed away. And then you saw that her mom, didn't have the savings for her retirement and wanted to start taking care of her mom. And she was still single. She went to that boot camp with her boyfriend at the time, the 3-day boot camp. And that's all it takes, everybody, is just getting started and just listening to something different and having an open mindset, not being shut down and saying everything is a scam. There are a lot of scams in life, but every now and again, you fall into something that makes sense. Having an open mind, everything is a possibility. And I think from that possibility, just getting locked in, starting the wholesaling, starting in 2015 with the residential, and then, continuing on the job. I mean, having a couple of kids is great. That's part of the story. We didn't even mention that. I think that's my favorite part of the story that wasn't mentioned. But, this is a real estate show. We can talk about kids for hours on this show. But, just that. And then, formulating your why, but your ultimate why of not just for the family, but ultimately offering this opportunity, getting in, joining the community, joining another mastermind, investing in your education, continuing to invest in your education. When everyone else out there, a lot of your friends are saying, you're crazy. What are you doing? This is risky. Then having some success, then starting social media, then having people reach out to you and go, this is pretty cool. How do I do this? How do I get involved? It all starts that way. And then a couple of years from now, everyone's going to be like, Nicole, she is really lucky, huh? But they didn't see back in 2010, she went to an event and she's been reading hundreds of books and she's been investing in her time. And during Thanksgiving, she's out there in New York running. I saw the post. She's being crazy and doing stuff she never would have done a couple of years ago. But it's really getting out of your comfort zone. The more you can get out of your comfort zone, the more you can grow. That's what life's all about. And ultimately, she has her why now, and she knows she's exactly where she needs to be to go where she needs to go. So that's the really awesome part about this story. And just continue to grow and get out of your comfort zone and continue to invest in yourself. And don't worry about what anyone else says. Focus on what your why is, and then ultimately, people will just be wanting to be part of your story.
Boom. Nicole, how can the listeners get a hold of you?
Well, I'm on Bigger Pockets and Facebook. It's just under Nicole Pendergrass, and you see I don't know, will they see my face? But anyway, Nicole Pendergrass. LinkedIn is at Nicole Pendergrass. Everything's just Nicole Pendergrass. They can also send me an email at nkdunlap, DUNLAP as in Peter, @gmail.com, and I'll respond that way too.
Great.
Awesome. Well, listen, Nicole, I want to thank you for being an amazing guest on the show and sharing your movers and shakers story. Now, listen, if you like the show, please leave us a review. And until next time, let's make it a Movers and Shakers week. See you, everybody.
Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.